What happens when success doesn't shield you from prejudice? Imagine working your whole life, building wealth, and finally buying your dream home in a luxury neighborhood, only to be treated like you don't belong. That's exactly what happened to Marcus, a young black millionaire who earned every bit of his success. On a sunny afternoon, he decided to relax by his pool, sipping a cold drink and enjoying peace he worked so hard for. But peace wasn't what his neighbors had in mind. Out of nowhere, two men in cheap uniforms walked up, flashing fake badges. They called themselves HOA security and demanded to know why he was there. Marcus raised an eyebrow. This was his house, his pool, his property. Yet, instead of being respected as a homeowner, he was treated like an intruder. At first, Marcus thought it was a mistake. But as the fake cops grew more aggressive, interrupting his afternoon with entitled arrogance, he realized this wasn't about rules. It was about intimidation. And little did they know, Marcus had a move that would change everything. Before Marcus could even reply, the fake officers barked orders, "Show us ID. You don't look like you belong here." The word stung, not because Marcus doubted who he was, but because of how casually they dismissed his presence in his own backyard. He leaned back, calm but calculating, observing their every move. Instead of panicking, he decided to test them. "And what HOA do you represent?" he asked smoothly. Their answers were vague, inconsistent, and laced with arrogance. Neighbors began peeking over fences, whispering, curious about the scene unfolding. To the imposters, Marcus was supposed to be intimidated. Instead, he smirked. He knew these men weren't real officers. Their cheap uniforms, shaky authority, and flimsy plastic badges gave them away. But Marcus wasn't going to kick them out right away. No, he was going to let them dig their own grave. The tension grew, but Marcus stayed cool. He had a plan, and it would expose them in front of everyone watching. The men grew louder, pointing fingers and threatening to call backup. Their voices carried across the block, fueling the drama. Marcus stood up slowly, towering over them with a calm confidence that rattled their nerves. "You know what's funny," he said. "You never asked anyone else for ID. Just me." Silence hit the air, and the neighbors watching couldn't ignore the truth. The so-called cops stammered, trying to cover their tracks. They accused Marcus of trespassing in his own yard, but his tone never wavered. He looked them in the eyes, his voice steady. "You're not just harassing me, you're exposing yourselves." Every second felt heavier. The fake officers weren't prepared for someone who wouldn't fold under pressure. And while they thought they had control, Marcus was already setting the stage for a takedown they wouldn't forget. Marcus walked back inside his home, leaving the imposters fuming by the pool. To them, it looked like he was giving in. But inside, he reached for his phone, not to call a friend, but to pull up his hidden security system. Every word, every threat, every false claim had been recorded on multiple cameras. With a few taps, Marcus streamed the footage live to his massive social media following. Instantly, thousands of people were watching the drama unfold. The comments poured in, exposing fake cops. "Stand strong, Marcus. This is unreal." Outside, the men grew restless. They had no idea the world was now witnessing their lies. Marcus stepped back out, holding his phone like a spotlight. "Smile for the camera," he said calmly. The imposters froze. Suddenly, the power dynamic shifted. The audience wasn't just neighbors anymore, it was millions online, and the fake cops were the villains of the show. Marcus walked back inside his home, leaving the imposters fuming by the pool. To them, it looked like he was giving in. But inside, he reached for his phone, not to call a friend, but to pull up his hidden security system. Every word, every threat, every false claim had been recorded on multiple cameras. With a few taps, Marcus streamed the footage live to his massive social media following. Instantly, thousands of people were watching the drama unfold. The comments poured in, exposing fake cops. "Stand strong, Marcus. This is unreal." Outside, the men grew restless. They had no idea the world was now witnessing their lies. Marcus stepped back out, holding his phone like a spotlight. "Smile for the camera," he said calmly. The imposters froze. Suddenly, the power dynamic shifted. The audience wasn't just neighbors anymore, it was millions online, and the fake cops were the villains of the show. The men panicked, demanding Marcus shut off his phone. Their authority crumbled with every shaky word. Neighbors recorded from their balconies, some even calling the real police. Marcus, however, remained the center of calm. "Why so nervous?" he asked. "If you're legit, you've got nothing to hide." The crowd murmured in agreement. The imposters tried to regain control, but their hands trembled, and their fake badges glistened under the sun like plastic toys. Marcus then dropped the final blow. "Gentlemen, I sit on the actual HOA board. And I've never seen you before." Gasps echoed from the neighbors. The fake cops turned pale. Their scam had been exposed not only by cameras but by undeniable truth. They wanted to humiliate Marcus. Instead, they humiliated themselves. Moments later, the sound of sirens filled the street. Real officers arrived, stepping onto the property with professionalism the imposters could never fake. They quickly separated Marcus from the two men, asking him to explain. He simply showed the live footage, and that was enough. The imposters were handcuffed within minutes, their cheap act falling apart in front of everyone. The neighbors, once skeptical, now applauded Marcus. He didn't just defend himself, he defended dignity. He showed what happens when you refuse to bow to intimidation. The fake cops were escorted away, their heads down, while Marcus stood tall by his pool. What started as harassment had turned into a powerful moment of justice. But Marcus wasn't done yet. He had one final move that would ensure this never happened again. The next day, Marcus held a community meeting at his house. Everyone came, neighbors, media, and even local leaders. He replayed the footage, not to embarrass the imposters further, but to highlight the danger of fake authority and prejudice. His voice carried with strength, "This wasn't just about me. It's about the message we send when we stay silent. Respect has no color. Justice has no price." The audience erupted in applause. Marcus turned a humiliating attempt into a lesson that empowered an entire community. What began as harassment ended with leadership, courage, and unity. And as he looked over his pool, no longer disturbed, he smiled, not because he won, but because he proved that truth always outshines lies. That was the move that destroyed them, and it wasn't anger, but wisdom.